Imagine you had the chance to start again. Whatever your belief is, imagine there was a chance to start fresh. A new life without the confines of the old. A chance to shed your skin and be reborn in a new world. If you had the chance, what would you do with it? Would you slip the confines of reality and let your imagination light your path? Would you turn your back on mindless rules and regulations? Would you embrace the chance to escape life at the click of a button and return only when you were ready? I got that chance in 2012 when I was reborn into the world of Second Life. My name is Connorboy26.
And this is the story of my second life. Sometimes you choose your path in life and other times it chooses you. In May 2012, I was riddled with anxiety after the death of a family member. And for the first time in my life I felt completely lost. As a strategy to control my anxiety, I went searching for an online game I could immerse myself in. I'd played games online before, but when I stumbled across Second Life and decided to check it, I had no idea of the ride I was in for. I live here in this empty mansion that I rented 2 weeks ago for around $7 a week. I have an ulterior motive for living here, but I'll get to that later. After 9 years in Second Life, I thought I'd seen it all, but about 18 months ago I met a new friend, and that interlude set me on a whole new journey of discovery that has not only opened my eyes to how much I didn't know about Second Life, but just how important it has become to real life. There's so much to tell. Second Life is a complex place, both in understanding the features and interface, but more so in navigating the people in here. I pondered for a long time about where I should start my story and eventually came to the conclusion that I should start from today and work my way back. And so, thank you for joining me as I take this amble down Second Life memory lane. Gerri was a guy I met about 8 years ago. He was a vibrant German who was one of the old-timers. He was 14 years old, born on the 1st of March 2007. For as long as I knew him, he owned Gerri's, a breedable horse sim for resellers. He claimed to have held the first ever live horse auctions in Second Life, and I have no reason to doubt him. What I have come to discover about the old-timers is that they are least likely to embrace the advancements of Second Life. When you visit the old Sims in Sansara, many of the buildings are old, built with prims, and look so outdated. I used to wonder why they were holding on to what are often ugly blights on the landscape, but in recent days I have come to look at it from a new perspective. Gerri was one of those guys. He owned a private sim that was almost always filled to capacity, so he was doing okay in terms of lindens, which are the currency of Second Life. But he barely updated his avatar, wore mostly freebie clothing, and never invested in an AO. I remember the first time I met him in 2012. I just bought my first Amaretto breedable horse and was looking for a place to sell the offspring. I teleported into Gerri's and he was upon me within seconds. "Hello Connor, look here, I have a pen for you," he said. I was new to it all, so happy to take my time and get a feel for things. But that wasn't Gerri's style. I eventually rented with him off and on for the next 8 years. We had our disagreements over that time. Sometimes I couldn't understand his business sense. Like one time, I was renting my stalls and logged in to see Gerri had placed advertising signs in my pen. I confronted him on this. I was paying this guy rent for space and he's using it to promote his own agenda. We fought over that and I packed up my horses and left for maybe a year. When I returned, he was happy to see me, called me old friend and promised me the nicest stall on the sim. Another time, I logged in to find the sim rearranged and my horses gone. "Hello Connor, my friend," he said with his regular enthusiasm. "I moved your stand. Where are my horses, Gerri?" "I returned them, my friend." Inside my inventory, in my lost and found folder, I saw clumps of items named Amaretto breedable horse, and I was so mad at him. But before I could confront him, he was off and running, shouting for me to follow. Running like a crazy man with no AO, looking like an idiot. When I got to where he was taking me, I found my stall set up. When I checked ownership of the builds, they were my builds but they had Gerri's name on them. I was proud of my homemade textures and prim-built stands, but here they were listing Gerri as the creator. "Gerri, why do my items have your name on them?" "Oh, because I made them for you." "Why?" "Because I moved your stand, Connor." "I see that, Gerri. Are these my textures?" "Yes, everything is the same, my friend. No changes." "Gerri, there are changes. My items and my textures are now listed as your creations." "How did you even get my textures, Gerri? And what have you done to them? They look awful." "I took a photo, Connor, and then I uploaded them for you." "Why would I need you to upload them, Gerri?" I tried adding the original textures over the top of his hideous recreations but of course couldn't due to the permissions. "Don't worry, Connor, it cost me 50 lindens to upload them but I won't charge you." I was furious, told him what I thought and left. That time I stayed away for almost 3 years. When I returned in 2020, when the pandemic had hit and Second Life was experiencing a resurge during lockdown, he was booked out. I scoured the sim but could not find one vacant pen. Throughout our time apart we had never spoken, but neither of us had removed the other from our friend list. I saw him log in and within seconds he greeted me. "Hello Connor, my old friend, are you wanting to rent?" "Yes please, Gerri, but I see you're all booked out." "No problem, Connor, for you I make space." And that's the kind of guy he was. Told me he had the best place on the whole sim for me, even though it really wasn't. And when I got there, he had placed one of my old signs on the gate. I said, "Gerri, the sign? Where did you get that?" He replied, "Don't worry, Connor, I did not take photo, it was one of your old ones that you gave me when you first rented. The sign wasn't great, I'd created it as a newbie. But I left it as a peacekeeping gesture and it remains there still now." And Gerri's signs remained exactly the same as the day I first rented. About 3 weeks ago, I noticed I hadn't seen Gerri for a while. Over the next week or two I noticed that the place was clearing out. I sent Gerri an offline. About a week later I noticed new tier boxes were placed alongside my old ones with my name reserved on them. I messaged Gerri to find out what was going on, but he did not answer. I waited another few days and when I went to Gerri's hardly anyone was there. These stands were usually filled. I started messaging other tenants to find out if they knew what was going on and where Gerri was. And that's how I found out Gerri had passed away.
I am short of breath, standing next to you. I am out of my depth at this altitude. Like the world makes sense from your window seat. are beautiful, like I've never seen. Go ahead and laugh, even if it hurts. Go ahead and pour the pain. What if we could risk everything we had and just let our walls cave in? I'm short of breath standing next to you.
And all of a sudden, in that moment, I felt broken. I didn't expect that. I mean, I didn't even know the guy, right? He lived on the other side of the world. I only knew the country, nothing else. But standing in that empty pen, the empty sim, I was so moved by sadness. The story was told was horrific, and like every other story in Second Life, was only someone's fragmented interpretation based on the little information they knew.
But you are beautiful, like I've never seen. Go ahead and laugh, even if it hurts. Go ahead and pull the pain. What if we could risk everything we have and just let our walls cave in? Go ahead and laugh, even if it hurts. Go ahead and pull the pain. What if we could risk everything we have and just let our walls cave in? Let our walls cave in. Let our walls cave in.
Should old acquaintance be forgot?
And so Gerri ceased to exist after all that time. But I watched the people who cared for him in Second Life gather around. His management team were covering the tier until someone, somehow could get in touch with his family so they could decide what they wanted to do. I spoke with people who knew Gerri as I knew him, and I spoke with others who knew him well and cared deeply. I felt hopeless. I'd moved my horses from the yard because I couldn't stand the feeling of being there and seeing it so lifeless, and thinking of Gerri just made me sad. He was only 59 in real life. He didn't deserve to die so young.
For days of old lang syne.
I wanted to do something for this kind man I'd never met in real life.
About the braes and put the gowans fine.
But the only thing I could think of was to keep paying rent.
Since days of old lang syne. And we twa pedalled in the barn frae morning sun till dine. But seas between us braid he rode since days of old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for days of old lang syne.
And I realized, for the first time, that Gerri's wouldn't be there anymore. And if it was, it wouldn't be the same. And I understood those old timers and their fierce hold on the past. Why they clung to those old prims. It wasn't about being cheap, or not wanting to move forward. It was about holding on to memories. Because every single one of those prims had built something, and it wasn't just buildings. Each prim represented a time, a place, a relationship. And I wanted to be around his prims for a little while longer. And just like real life, time waits for no man, and in Second Life, time moves so much faster. I felt the need to start recording the memories. Because sunsets pass swiftly and soon people would forget. The newcomers would come and they'd create their own Second Life, and it wouldn't incorporate memories of Gerri or his auctions or his stupid run with no AO, and while I understood it, I resented it.
And we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. And there's a hand.
And for the first time, I wanted to be with those people. The people in the old world who had lived through so much, witnessed so much change, and at times lost so much. I got it. I think I finally understood them. And I wanted to be near them for a while. And so, my journey began.
For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for old lang syne.